What if it all falls away? Why presence, not prediction, is a true ground of security. And there's a contemplative exercise at the end of this reading. Just this week, scrolling on TikTok, I watched in sadness as a woman recounted her unraveling in tears. At 57, she had lost everything: her house, her savings, the career she had built over decades. All happened in the last 3 years. Her voice cracked with the raw bewilderment of someone who had followed all the rules and still ended up with nothing. She wasn't soliciting for pity or help or anything. She was intending to document the rawness of her dire situation instead of waiting till she came out of it to share with her followers. If you're like me, the comments visitor, I went to the comments to assess people's thoughts. This was even sadder to experience. There were comments like, 55 here, broke, same, exhausted my retirement too. The weird resonance was immediate and haunting. In a way, it was as though we were watching our own lives unravel, pre-lived on screen. Well, at least that was one story this mind came to. There's something uniquely disorienting about witnessing another's collapse when you've lived your life believing in a kind of earned immunity. We silently think, if I work hard, save, follow the steps, I will be okay. But what happens when someone does all that and still finds themselves emptied out? This could be even in an investment in a relationship, a project, a child, etc. In hearing stories like this, it's not uncommon to switch from empathy to panic. The mind may begin to ask, what if that were me? What if I lose everything too? What if I'm already on the path and just don't know it yet? It's astonishing how swiftly the psyche transitions from witnessing to personalizing. The experience is no longer hers in this case. It becomes ours. Not in solidarity, but in fear. This is a vulnerability beneath our skin we often ignore until someone else's misfortune lifts the veil. I remember being the kind of person who would instinctively say, God forbid, to stories like these, as if uttering the phrase could form a barrier between me and the chaos and unpredictability of life. As if those 3 syllables could cancel out the possibility of my possession, status, or comfort. But life, honest life, doesn't operate on magical phrases or positive mantras. And I know this is an arguable position, especially in the town hall of the law of manifestation cliques. What we forget is that life includes dissolution. The old structure falling apart is just as natural as the new one being built. The losing of some position is also as natural as gaining new positions, whatever these positions are. Sometimes both happen simultaneously. These days, I no longer reach for optimism as a shield. I don't pretend to know what tomorrow holds. Neither I nor any self-possessed prophet can tell you what tomorrow is apart from the clear understanding of the cyclical nature of life. But you see, there's a strange freedom in understanding this. There's a falling into deep surrender, seeing the wisdom in this. I know this is not a nihilistic surrender. It's a kind of sacred openness. You see, if we can no longer rely on predictions, we're invited to rely on presence. That's where the deeper trust begins. Not the kind rooted in circumstances going our way, but the kind that holds even when they don't. Or how can we, instead of laying our future tent of hope, our tent filled with the expectation that everything good that we plan for and hope for will happen to us, instead of holding on to this, could we instead hold on to the knowing that despite what happens to us, we are fine? It would be naive to say this trust comes easily. It doesn't. I type this, I say this, I preach this, I have said this to countless people time after time, and I still know it doesn't come easily. In the tough situations where when I've encountered with loss, remembering this becomes the actual mantra. It demands the abandonment of safety as we've traditionally defined it. Safety for most of us has been tied to the material, homes, jobs, retirement accounts, identity markers. But those can vanish and will vanish one way or the other, sometimes overnight. But then let's slow down and investigate this one thing. What remains when these things vanish? To find the answer, we have to go beyond the narrative of personal protection and touch something prior to the mind's stories. There's a kind of peace not born of having our ducks in a row, but of seeing that even if they scatter, something is is still untouched, intact, and unborn. A presence that was never dependent on outcomes in the first place. This is not the kind of thing we can conceptualize once and be done with. At least it hasn't been like that for me. It's a practice, a continual unlearning. Every time I forget and begin identifying with this finite body and fragile identity, I suffer. The world tightens, the walls closing, the eye contracting to its smallest form, and I mistaken that constriction for reality. But when I remember, really remember, that what I am is not the story playing out, but the space in which the story arises, then everything softens. We're not separate drops in the ocean, said Rumi, but the ocean in a drop. Yet we spend most of our lives building borders between ourselves and the ocean of life. Borders that whisper lies about control, about permanence, about being able to outsmart uncertainty. We create entire models of self and universe on the assumption that we are the exemption. Catastrophe visits others until, of course, it doesn't. See, the invitation I'm offering here isn't to armor ourselves better. That would be the foolish game we have culturally erred towards. Perhaps it's instead to disarm entirely, not with recklessness, but with reverence, to stop trying to guarantee the future and instead become intimate with the moment. Not to be passive, but to become rooted in something deeper than our plans. There's a kind of rest available when we stop defending against life and allow ourselves to be held by it. Not because everything is figured out, but because we see that nothing needs to be. The body rests, the mind rests. And into that rest, a deeper question may arise that brings even more clarity. Who am I really without all these layers? If we follow that question, not intellectually but experientially, we may see that who we are and what we are is not fragile, that life in all its wild unfolding doesn't need our constant supervision. In that place, trust is no longer something we manufacture. It is revealed, quiet, unshakable, vast. Like in Rumi's meditation, a small green island, we can learn of the imploration to the white cow. Like the white cow, we need to remember that the grass grows overnight. We need not make ourselves miserable by the fluctuations of the field or the grass's growth. And this is not me trying to instigate laziness. It's an alignment. It's the recognition that the true self, the one watching, witnessing, and aware, has always been held, always been whole, even as the structures of life rise and fall. Now, what if it all does fall away? This isn't a question to fear. It's a doorway. Do you see the doorway? And can you enter it? A small green garden. There's a small green island where one white cow lives alone, a meadow of an island. The cow grazes till nightfall, full and fat. But during the night, she panics and grows thin as a single hair. What shall I eat tomorrow? There's nothing left. By dawn, the grass has grown up again, waist high. The cow starts eating, and by dark, the meadow is clipped short. She's full of strength and energy, but she panics in the dark as before and grows abnormally thin overnight. The cow does this over and over, and this is all she does. She never thinks, this meadow has never failed to grow back. Why should I be afraid every night that it won't? The cow is the bodily soul. The island field is the world where that grows lean with fear and fat with blessing. Lean and fat. White cow, don't make yourself miserable with what's to come or not to come. Contemplative exercise. The receding shoreline. So with your eyes closed, gently bring attention to your breathing. Notice the rate of your breathing. Notice your in-breath and your out-breath. Bring attention to the tension in any part of your body, starting with your head, your face, your neck, your shoulders. Notice your arms. Notice your arms as they are either stiff or relaxed, whichever way. Notice your chest, sensations around your abdomen, your tummy, your waist, the small of your back, your buttocks, your thigh, your legs, and your toes. Now picture a coastline that you've seen before. One with cliffs or rocks or sand slowly giving way over time. You may not notice it day by day, but year by year, the shoreline changes. What was once firm becomes soft. What was once expansive becomes thin. Now ask yourself this question as you replay mentally with this imagery. Can I sit with the image of slow, natural erosion without resisting it? What happens in me as I hold this image? without scrolling away with the thoughts and the images, or this image, I want you to turn the image inward. What in my life feels like it is slow recession? Like it's slowly receding? Is there a role, a belief, a sense of control, or a structure that is subtly being worn down? Don't try to stop it. That's not what we're trying to do here. Don't try to repair it. We don't need repairing right now. Just name it and be with it. Perhaps an emotion arises at this thought. What emotions are arising for you as you watch it change? Is it fear, grief, relief, or confusion? Notice how those feelings live in the body, nowhere else but the body. Now let's go deeper. From that quiet place, I want you to ask, if the shore continues to erode, what remains? If the me that I know becomes less and less fixed, is there something beneath that stays steady? This image drops, or this me drops, what exactly remains? Now, you don't have to put an answer, a word to this answer, but just notice what is here when everything else changes. Now, consider this. What would it feel like to stop fighting the tide? What if I let life shape the shoreline without fear of what it removes? What becomes available when I trust the changing form instead of clinging to how it once was? Let that sink in. Oh, my friend, the earth doesn't grieve the sand. The waves don't apologize for the pool. And if you could say this quietly to yourself, there's something deeper than the sand, something that doesn't erode. Even as forms shift, I remain as the stillness beneath the waves. Before we get out of this meditation, and something that you can hold on to as the day becomes night, and as the night becomes day, and as each day becomes each week, and as each week becomes months, ask yourself this and hold on to these questions. If I lived with the knowing that nothing essential can be taken, how might I show up today? What can I let go of defending? Let one insight surface. It may be small. Hold it and leave it.